Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about a day 3 update to my CA Trickster Ballista build, as well as some news from GGG. Now, before I go into how I've been doing on the Atlas, I want to quickly address kind of the elephant in the room. There was a very weird post from GGG yesterday. A lot of people have been asking me what I'm thinking about it. This came literally out 2 hours after I recorded my last video. Overall, I don't really know what to say because I have very similar feelings than most other people. I think this has been chewed to death already. This post comes across as very tone deaf. I don't think they're really acknowledging what's going on in this league, why so many people have been quitting already, even some streamers. And since I've heard this topic before and I've read a lot of comments about like streamers quitting the league, nobody cares, it's like they are not more important than we are. Obviously not, but the thing about it is that we are kind of like doing this for a living. So for one of us to be like, no, you know what, I'm having so little fun that I'm just going to like risk playing another game is actually wide the mark. Other than Empyrean Gaming, we've heard a lot of other people also speak out. People who have never heard spoken out before, like for example, Lolcohol, even Mathol. So what I'm going to say with this is that you can be sure that you're not the only person that this affects. If you're a casual player, know that the people, the degens, or the people who play this game, I don't know, like 16 hours a day, they play it for a living, feel exactly the same. And I don't want to speak for everybody because obviously there's people having fun. In fact, I'm having fun, but that is due to my build, which has been really fun to progress. Anything else in here, I can totally agree. And there's definitely something weird going on with general item drops in particular. If we're talking about the 4 problems here, Arch Nemesis, Harvest, Lake of Kalandra, I think Harvest and Lake of Kalandra are basically numerical changes to make them fun. Arch Nemesis might be a little bit harder to unwind, but the biggest problem I have is like the general item drops. I'm not sure if they're actually just able to revert them back or something. And this is a very delicate issue in terms of like general item drops. We never really think about it, but it is a very fine line for having too much rewards, too little rewards, exactly the right amount of rewards. And this has been something they've been figuring out over years. And all of a sudden there's like this change. It just changes the whole game, and it feels like they're not really thinking about it. They didn't even put it in the patch notes. They didn't put it in the manifesto. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there has been a huge bonus of quantity and rarity that usually apply to league specific monsters, and that has now been replaced with a much lower quantity. And we have seen whole legions not dropping a single splinter. We've seen breach hands, like big breach hands, dropping no splinters. We've seen 6-man groups dropping almost no currency. I myself have seen, the biggest thing that I've seen is, it's always very hard to say about big drops, right? You could just get unlucky. But when it comes to small drops like chisels, Orb of Alchemies, Chaos Orbs, I've seen a pretty big downfall. Overall, there's just a lot less to click, and right now, I don't know what's going on here. I think this might be a little bit tricky to fix for them. I really hope they can do something. Today, they gave us a small update, and honestly, it's not very much. So the community has been waiting for an update for them to acknowledge that they kind of screwed up. Down here, they say, despite the changes we discussed, we still don't feel that things are in the right place regarding many of the issues raised by the community. Tomorrow, they'll do a full review, and they will give us further info. Be sure that as soon as that will happen, I will make an update video. But for now, what they changed is they gave a little bit of extra bonus to like early game harvest, meaning the life force you gain in lower tier maps. So for somebody who already completed the Atlas, it's completely the same. Kalandra, I don't know. I'll try it out today. I'll let you know what I find. But basically, they have massively increased the chest rewards from non-league encounters, which might be really cool because those are encountered quite a bit. As well as that, we get increased likelihood of being able to make multiple choices, and you can now make up to 3 choices at the table. Let's see if these changes are enough to actually make the league mechanic viable. Now, what they did to Arch Nemesis overall is they reduced the life. However, there's a few very weird things they did. Now, the biggest thing about Arch Nemesis that was really annoying is that they reintroduced 4 mod Arch Nemesis monsters. And that's mainly because most people don't like getting their balls stepped on. But overall, what they did is they reduced the life of 3 or less rare modifiers. Rare monsters with 4 modifiers have unchanged life on average. I'm not sure what to think about these nodes. Right now, I'm just kind of disappointed. It feels all a little bit tone deaf. I don't want to cry wolf right now. A lot of people have been outraged about this. I am as well. I'm just also kind of tired and kind of disappointed. You have to forgive me for that. I really want to go back to making positive videos overall. So let's hope that GGG also gives me the chance to. But yeah, let's talk about my build and how I've progressed. So I've just killed Maven, and basically that is it. That's a wrap. I got all my favorite slots. I got all my watchstones. Overall, Boss fights and invitations were quite a breeze, honestly. We didn't even cap our spell suppression before stuff like feared or hidden, and still had no problems whatsoever. This was honestly the easiest Atlas playthrough since 3.15 with Forbidden Red Totems, which was OP back in the day. And I'm really happy that my pre-patch doubts about the build were just not justified. And since a lot of people have been asking about rating the build when compared to EA, it's a little bit more complicated, but let's sum it up. In terms of white and yellow maps, I've seen very little difference in general. I did not have proliferation, obviously. You don't have really poison proliferation, which isn't really that good anyways. It can be annoying sometimes. What I will say is that during leveling, being a trickster, being Poisonous Concoction was just so much better than whatever you could do with EA Ballista. Taking the one step ahead note from Trickster, being freeze immune, being mostly slow immune, just having an awesome skill like Poisonous Concoction at your disposal made leveling so much easier. What I will say is that at red maps, when I had no Covenant and no Darkscorn, basically no monies, right? That's how you usually get into red maps first. I definitely felt a drop off compared to EA Ballista, and that's where I think the Ignite scaling just shines. You have incredible scaling from just your gem, so you don't really need any gear. You don't really need to upgrade your bow until a lot later. But once we got into Darkscorn, and especially once we got the Covenant, the build's damage just completely explodes, and we basically outclassed EA Ballista. It was a lot easier, a lot more damage. I also compared it to some of the footage I had from back in the day. And then you're also just left with a build that has more movement speed because we're Trickster, and it was just way nicer overall to clear maps. One thing I also want to say is the life gain on kill, the mana gain on kill you get from Trickster is so comfy. For everybody who started this build on Pathfinder, I'm so sorry. I cannot believe how much better Trickster was than what I tested with Pathfinder like 2 leagues ago. It was incredible. If I would do the video again, I would not say Pathfinder is even an option. It's not even close. This basically meant that sustain, which is one of the biggest things to fix with ballistas, was not a problem anymore. So overall, I'd say that EA Ballista is safer for people who might struggle with currency in the first few days, especially newer players. It's a lot more forgiving with a lot lower damage ceiling though, once you get geared, because if you get the appropriate upgrades, like CA Ballista is just completely stupid for what it costs even. Covenant prices are on the rise though, so that doesn't help, I guess. Now, the problem with this is though that the first 70, 80 levels are way easier with CA Ballista again, because you have Poisonous Concoction to just carry you throughout the game. So it's very, very messy in terms of both builds have their power spikes, both builds have something for them. So at the end of the day, I would just recommend both, honestly. That being said, with Covenant being at the prices that they are right now, I would still say for completely new players, EA Ballista should probably be your pick. But overall, what is my conclusion for day 3? Well, I'm kind of still having fun, even though GGG screwed up big time. The thing I love the most in this game are builds, and this build kind of popped off, so I can't help but have fun. Overall, everything that doesn't have to do with the build is kind of like dimmed down. I kind of feel like I'm playing standard right now, so I really hope that they kind of make that better over time. Because while I'm having fun right now, I don't know how this is going to go in like 1 or 2 weeks once I've seen it all. If we're still playing in standard, basically, if they don't buff the league mechanic, for example, that might be bad. Number 2, farming currency right now is really awkward due to loot changes. I'm not even going to post this abomination. I'm just trying out stuff right now. Trust me, you don't want to do this. Basically, I'm just testing out stuff that doesn't have anything to do with normal loot drops, meaning stuff like Breach, Legion, Blight is completely out of the question. We only want stuff that has fixed loot, that they basically cannot screw up with their whole multiplier stuff, and that would be essences. At this point, we're at a gear point where we can actually outscale more Arch-Nemesis mobs. Also, they just nerfed the life of them a little bit, especially essence monsters, which is pretty significant, right? I'm also trying out Harvest. My thought behind doing Harvest anyways was if it stays scarce, some people are still going to need some of these crazy crafts. Some of the crafters will still have to do it in order to get the best items in the game, so they will still have to buy this from somebody, and then probably prices are just going to shoot up because nobody has them. Also, as much as I hate selling contracts, I'm probably going to go into some kind of stuff like, I don't know, casing the joint and probably secret stash, simply because they also can't screw up that. Rogue markers have been pretty consistent in how they're dropping, and contracts are dropping every time. There's nothing bugged there. Right now, we're basically just in the situation where we're trying to do everything that isn't bugged. For example, Expedition is still super rewarding. If you're wondering how I got the money for my Covenant and my Darkscorn, that is how. We've been 2-gen gambling quite a bit over here. So, yeah, overall, I will just say that I hope it's getting better over time, but that is where I am for now. I'm not going to link this Atlas specific tree. It's not min-maxed yet. But I will be posting one once I'm confident on it. But yeah, I hope that next time we're talking, we have a positive update. I know it's really, really draining. It's also draining for me, all this anger, all this disappointment. I would love to get back to a point where everybody's just happy playing the game. Everybody's just having fun. Right now is not that day. I'm still trying to have as much fun as possible because I still love Path of Exile. So yeah, I really hope this whole league will shape into something different. We had it in Sentinel before. Don't forget, Sentinel was an absolute tragedy at the start. And then it went on to be a pretty decent league overall. But yeah, that's it for me. See ya. But that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. As always, a huge shout out to my Twitch subscribers and my Patreons. I couldn't do videos like this without you. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, let's see what we do next. We don't really have much currency left. I'll probably have to liquidate some stuff. Maybe I'm going to buy some scarabs. Maybe we're going to go back to Stream of Consciousness. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. I wish I did. I wish I had more input as we speak. One thing I can tell you for sure is that Heist right now is really good money. I can tell you that Expedition is really good money. Anything else here is kind of experimental, and I will update you guys over time. But with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.